The knock wasn't polite. It was official. Heavy. The kind that says, "We're not here to talk." I opened the door and there he stood. Clipboard, neutral face. Eyes already moving past me like I was just another address on his route. "Ma'am. Elaine Hart?" he asked. I nodded, and my throat went dry before he even spoke again. "This is a notice to vacate. 30 days. For a second, I honestly thought I'd misheard him. Like my brain refused to catch up to the words. "Vacate," I repeated stupidly. "This is my home." He didn't argue. He just held out the paper. "I'm sorry. I'm just the messenger." I took it with hands that didn't feel like mine. The paper was crisp. Clean. Too clean for something that messy. When I closed the door, the silence hit like a slap. I stood there in my hallway, barefoot, cardigan hanging off one shoulder, the house smelling faintly like lemon cleaner and grief, and I stared at that notice until the letters blurred. 30 days. Like my life could be boxed up and carried out with the trash. My phone buzzed right then. The name on the screen made my stomach twist. "Jenna, my daughter." I answered anyway. Because no matter how many times your heart gets bruised, it still jumps when your child calls. "Hey," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "What's going on?" She sounded airy. Distracted. Like she was already somewhere else. "Mom, don't freak out, okay?" she said. That phrase, "don't freak out," has never in the history of the universe led to good news. "Sienna," I warned. She exhaled like I was being dramatic. "Grant and I are leaving tomorrow. Europe. Long trip. We needed to move fast." My fingers tightened around the eviction notice. "What did you do?" asked very quietly. Then her voice dropped into that calm, rehearsed tone that means she'd practiced saying it. "I sold the Coast Cottage," she said. "Dad's old pickup too. And your car. You weren't using them. It was just sitting there." My ears rang. "You sold my car. Mom. And the cottage." My voice cracked. "The place your father built with his own hands." "It's fine," she said, like she was talking about an old sofa. "We gave you your part." "My part." 30%, she replied, quick and neat. "We transferred it. Check your account." I stared down at the paper that said I had 30 days to get out of my own house. And she kept talking like none of this mattered. "We'll call you when we land," she said. "Love you. Bye." Blick. Just like that. I didn't cry. Not yet. I walked to my bedroom on legs that felt borrowed, opened my dresser drawer, and pulled out something I hadn't touched since the day my husband died. Thick envelope. His handwriting on the front. And 2 words that made my heart stop when I finally noticed them. "For when she tries." My hands started shaking. I sat on the edge of the bed, stared at the seal, and whispered into the empty room. "Cal, what did you know?" Then I opened it. And the first line of his letter hit me like a punch. "If you're reading this, Elaine, it means Sienna finally did it." I didn't read the letter like a normal person. I inhaled it. Like if I didn't get through the next sentence, my chest would cave in. Cal's handwriting was steady. Too steady for a man who knew he was running out of time. "Elaine," it began, "if you're reading this, it means you've been pushed into the corner I hoped you'd never see. I'm sorry you're here. But I'm glad you found this." My throat tightened so hard I had to swallow twice. He knew. Not in a vague, paranoid way. He knew. Kept reading, eyes burning. "Sienna is not evil. She's weak. And weak people do cruel things when they're convinced they're entitled to comfort." My hand shook so badly the paper crackled. I pressed my palm against it like I could calm it down through touch. Cal continued. "I've watched her. I've watched the way she looks at things. Not with love. With calculation. The cottage, the truck, your car. She doesn't see memories. She sees money sitting still." A sound left my mouth that wasn't a sob. More like a broken laugh. 'Cause it was true. And I hated that it was true. Then came the part that made my skin go cold. "I made arrangements. Quietly. Legally. Not because I didn't trust you, Elaine. but because I knew grief could make you sign anything just to stop hurting. Froze. Because my mind instantly replayed Sienna sliding papers in front of me after the funeral. Just formalities, Mom. Just to make things easier. And me signing. Not reading. Too tired to fight the world. Cal wrote, "There's a reason I kept certain things out of reach. Not from you. From anyone who might use you." I flipped the page, breath shallow. Inside the envelope were copies of documents. Not the full originals, copies. Like breadcrumbs. Enough to prove something existed. Not enough for someone to steal it if they found this by accident. A company name printed across the top of one sheet. Heart and Shore Holdings. My stomach dropped. "What is this?" I whispered like the paper could answer. A second sheet listed properties. Not just one. Several. Addresses I recognized. And one I didn't. Until my eyes landed on the unit number. My daughter's unit number. I stared so hard my vision blurred. "No," I mouthed. Cal's letter continued like he was sitting across from me, calm, patient. "Do not confront her. Not yet. First call Marcus Vale. He's the attorney I trust. Tell him I sent you. He'll know what to do." Tucked behind the letter was a small key taped to an index card. On the card, Cal had written a single line. "Box 247. Downtown Branch. Go alone." My heartbeat thudded in my ears. Because suddenly, the eviction notice didn't feel like the end. It felt like the start of something Cal had been building in silence. And right as I reached for my phone to call the lawyer, it buzzed again. A new number. Unknown. Answered, voice barely there. "Hello." A man spoke, polite but firm. "Mrs. Hart. This is Marcus Vale. Your husband asked me to call if certain documents were triggered." Triggered. My fingers tightened around the key. And Marcus said the next sentence so carefully, like he knew it could detonate my whole life. "I need to see you today. And Elaine. Do not tell your daughter you found that envelope." Marcus Vale didn't look like the kind of attorney who smiled for comfort. He looked like the kind who smiled when he already had the upper hand. His office was quiet. Too quiet. Heavy wood, soft lights, a leather chair that felt like it cost more than my first car. I sat down with the envelope clutched to my chest like it could stop my heart from falling through the floor. Marcus shut the door, then said, "No greeting, no warm-up. First, breathe, Elaine." Tried. I really did. But my lungs were doing that shallow, panicky thing. He pulled a folder from his desk and slid it toward me. "Your husband put safeguards in place. The call you got from your daughter. The sales. The eviction notice. None of that happened in a vacuum." I blinked. "So I'm not losing my house." Marcus's jaw tightened. "Not if you do what I tell you. But we're on a clock." The words "on a clock" made my stomach turn. He pointed to a page. "Your daughter used a power of attorney. A springing clause. Your husband designed it to activate under specific conditions. When Sienna attempted to transfer the primary residence, it triggered a legal alert. That alert came to me. My mouth went dry. She tried to transfer this house too." "Yes," he said flat. "And she will try again. Likely today. Definitely before she leaves tomorrow." I stared at him, feeling heat rise behind my eyes. "She called it making things easier." Marcus gave a short nod. "Grief is a perfect weapon. Your husband knew that. That's why he didn't just leave you assets. He left you a system." He tapped the company name I'd seen. Heart and Shore Holdings. "Cal put property into this entity years ago," Marcus said. "Quietly. Legally. It's not flashy. Smart. And it means your daughter can't reach what she can't see." My hands trembled. "Then why did I get an eviction notice?" Marcus's expression hardened. "Because Sienna is trying to scare you into signing faster. Fear makes people cooperate." I felt my pulse in my throat. "So she's bluffing." "Not entirely," he corrected. "She started a chain reaction. But I can stop it. Can freeze it. Today. However." He leaned forward just slightly. I need the originals, he said. The key in your envelope. Box 247. Downtown branch. Your husband told you to go alone for a reason. Why alone? I whispered. Marcus didn't soften his voice. Because if your daughter suspects you're protected, she'll change tactics. And Elaine, her next tactic won't be polite. Silence stretched between us. Real. Then Marcus added almost casually. One more thing. Your daughter booked a notary appointment for this afternoon. It's already scheduled. My stomach dropped. A notary? I repeated. He nodded once. She's coming for a signature. The last one she needs. I stood up so fast the chair scraped the floor. Marcus held my gaze. You do not confront her yet. You don't cry. You don't rage. You don't tell her you found the envelope. I swallowed hard. So what do I do? Marcus slid a business card toward me. You go to the bank. You get what's in box 247. Then you come straight back here. And if your daughter puts papers in front of you before that. He paused, eyes steady. You stall. You smile. You survive the next few hours. I walked out of his office feeling like I'd stepped into a different version of my life. One where my daughter was a threat. One where my husband had been quietly preparing me for war. And when I got home, I saw a black sedan parked outside my house. My front porch light was on. And through the window I could see Sienna standing in my hallway, holding a folder of papers like she belonged there. Then she looked up and met my eyes. And she smiled. Sienna didn't even pretend to be surprised to see me. She just stood there in my hallway, holding a folder like it was a leash, and she smiled like we were about to plan a vacation, not dismantle my life. Mom, she said brightly. Perfect timing. My stomach dropped, but I forced my face to stay calm. I could feel Marcus's voice in my ear stall. Mel. Survive the next few hours. What are you doing here? I asked like I didn't already know. She walked past me into the kitchen like the house belonged to her, set the folder on my table and flipped it open. Crisp pages. Sticky notes. Pen placed right on top. I'm helping you, she said. There's just a few signatures. It's boring stuff. Legal stuff. You don't need the stress. I took off my coat slowly, keeping my hands steady. The envelope with Cal's key was tucked deep inside my purse. Felt like a heartbeat against my hip. What signatures? Yes. Sienna sighed like I was being difficult. Just paperwork to make everything smoother. If something happens to you, we need to be prepared. Something happens to you. That phrase used to sound like love. Today it sounded like a threat wrapped in perfume. I glanced at the pages and my throat tightened. I didn't need to understand every line to recognize the trap. The way the wording leaned toward transfer, control, authority. My name printed neatly at the bottom like a surrender. Sienna nudged the pen toward me. Come on. I already booked a notary for later. My heart thumped once hard. So Marcus was right. I picked up the pen just to buy time, and let it hover above the paper. Sienna, I said softly. I haven't eaten today. She blinked. What? I'm dizzy, I added, pressing a hand to my forehead like a fragile old woman. I hated the acting. But I hated what she was doing more. She rolled her eyes quick, then masked it. Okay, fine. I'll make you toast. While she turned her back, I slid the folder just enough to see a heading. My blood chilled. Because the word residence was in bold. My residence. I set the pen down. Sienna, I said, keeping my voice light. I need to use the bathroom. She waved a hand like I was an inconvenience. Go. I walked down the hall on calm legs and locked myself in the bathroom. Then I pulled my phone out and texted Marcus with shaking fingers. Is here. Papers on my table. Notary later. His reply came instantly. Do not sign. Get to the bank. I stared at myself in the mirror. My face pale, my eyes too sharp for a woman who was supposed to be clueless. Then I opened the bathroom door and stepped back into the kitchen like nothing was wrong. Sienna was setting toast on a plate, humming. Eat, she said, and pushed the folder closer again. Then we'll go. I'll drive. Smiled. We. Cooperative. Actually, I said, I have to run one quick errand first. Alone. Her head snapped up. Where? I kept my tone casual, but my spine was ice. The bank. And the way her face changed, just for half a second, told me everything. Because Sienna didn't ask why. She asked too fast. Which bank? The moment I stepped toward the front door, Sienna grabbed my wrist. Not hard enough to leave a bruise. Just hard enough to say, I'm in control. Mom, she said, still smiling, but her eyes weren't smiling anymore. Why would you go to the bank alone? I can take you. I looked down at her fingers on my skin. And something in me went very, very quiet. Because it hit me, this wasn't about helping me run errands. This was about keeping me from seeing something. I pulled my hand back gently, like I didn't notice the force behind it. Sweetheart, it's just a quick thing. I'll be right back. She leaned against the doorframe. Which bank again? I lifted my shoulders in a little shrug. The downtown branch. Her face tightened for half a second. Then she laughed too brightly. Downtown. That's far. Let me drive. I did the fragile older woman act again, even though it tasted bitter in my mouth. No. I need to clear my head. Just some air. I'll take a cab. Her smile stayed fixed. Elaine. She didn't say Mom that time. She said my name like a warning. I met her eyes and smiled back. Soft, harmless. Don't worry. Then I walked out before she could think of a way to stop me without showing her hand. Outside, my hand shook so badly I almost dropped my phone. I called a cab, got in, and kept my eyes on the rear window the whole time, half expecting to see her car behind us. And when the bank came into view, my heart started hammering like it knew we were walking into the hidden part of the story. Inside, the air smelled like cold marble and old money. I went straight to the desk, showed my ID and said quietly, I need access to a safe deposit box. Number 247. The woman behind the counter didn't smile. She just looked at her screen, then looked back at me. Mrs. Hart, she said carefully. Are you alone? My stomach clenched. Yes. She nodded once, as if that mattered more than my answer. Follow me. They didn't take me to the regular little rooms. They took me to a back corridor with an extra locked door. I could hear my own breathing. The employee unlocked the box, placed it on the table and said, You have privacy. Call if you need anything. Then she left. My fingers found the key taped to Cal's note. Box 247 clicked open. And there it was. Not jewelry. Not cash. Paper. Stacks of it. Originals. Deed. Titles. Account documents. Corporate seal. A folder labeled Hart and Shore Holdings in Cal's handwriting. And on top, another letter. Shorter than the first. Heavier somehow. The first line punched straight through me. Elaine, if Sienna is with you right now, do not go home. My throat closed. I flipped pages fast, mind scrambling, trying to understand what Cal built without me seeing it. Then my eyes landed on an address and my pulse stuttered. It wasn't my house. It wasn't the Coast Cottage. It was Sienna's building. Her unit. Or life. Listed under our holdings. I heard myself whisper, Oh my God. My hands were cold. My daughter had been living inside something she didn't even know belonged to us. And just as I reached for my phone to call Marcus, my screen lit up first. Incoming call. Marcus Vale. I answered, barely breathing. Marcus. His voice was sharp, urgent. Elaine, listen to me. Someone just tried to access box 247 under your name. My blood turned to ice. Who? I whispered, even though I already knew. Marcus didn't hesitate. Your daughter is at the bank. My stomach dropped so hard it felt like my body forgot how to stand. Your daughter is at the bank, Marcus said. Right now. She tried to access box 247 under your name. I didn't even realize I was gripping the edge of the table until my fingers started to ache. How? My voice cracked. How would she even know? Marcus cut in. Elaine, listen to me. Do not walk out into the lobby. Do not let her see you. Stay in that room. I'm calling the bank manager and security. You keep the originals with you." My mouth went dry. She followed me. "Most likely," he said. "And this matters. Her trying to access the box is proof of intent. Helps us. But only if we handle this cleanly." Proof of intent. I stared down at Cal's papers spread out like a hidden life, and something in me hardened again. Because this wasn't misunderstanding. This wasn't stress. This was strategy. I slid every original back into the folder, stacked it neatly, and hugged it to my chest like a shield. Outside the small room I heard footsteps, faint at first, then closer. Voices. A woman's laugh too bright to be real. Sienna's laugh. My skin went cold. Through the thin wall I heard her say, "It's my mother. She's confused sometimes. I handle her affairs." Confused sometimes. I pressed my hand over my mouth to keep from making a sound. A bank employee replied, careful and firm. "Ma'am, we can't proceed without her present." Sienna's voice sharpened. "She is present. She's just not feeling well. Have her ID." "I have documents." My heart pounded. That meant she brought papers. She brought a story. She brought a plan to make me look unreliable. Then I heard the words that made my blood turn to ice. "If you don't cooperate," Sienna said softly, "I'll have to call Adult Protective Services. My mother is not capable of making decisions." I closed my eyes for a second. The audacity almost stole my breath. Marcus's voice returned in my ear like a lifeline. "Elaine, are you still there?" "Yes," I whispered. "Good. Security is approaching her now. The bank manager is on my line. You'll be escorted out through a private exit. Do you understand?" I nodded even though he couldn't see me. "Yes." The door opened a crack. A uniformed security guard stepped in, calm eyes scanning me and the folder. "Mrs. Hart," he asked gently. "Come with me." I stood up, legs shaky, clutching the folder so tight it felt glued to my ribs. As we moved down the back corridor I heard Sienna again, closer now, her voice rising, frustration breaking through. "Where is she?" she snapped. "I know she's here." Then footsteps fast. A glimpse through a glass panel. Sienna, turning her head sharply, scanning like a hunter. Our eyes almost met. Almost. The guard guided me through a side door that shut with a soft, final click behind us. Outside, my lungs finally pulled in air, big and painful. A car was waiting at the curb, Marcus's driver. I slid into the back seat, shaking, and the moment the door closed my phone buzzed again. "Marcus," I answered, breath ragged. I got out. "Good," he said. "Now listen carefully. We have enough to lock everything down. But Elaine, Sienna isn't going home empty-handed." My throat tightened. "What do you mean?" His pause was short, but it felt like the world held its breath with it. "Because while you were in that room," he said quietly, "she filed something else." My pulse jumped. "Filed what?" Marcus's voice dropped to a warning. "She just submitted a petition to declare you legally incompetent." I didn't even make it back to my own front door before the trap snapped shut. The driver pulled up, and there they were, two strangers on my porch. A woman with a tote bag and a badge clipped to her jacket, and a man holding a clipboard like it was a weapon that didn't need permission. And right behind them, half hidden in the doorway like she belonged there, Jenna. She turned when the car stopped, and her face did that innocent little performance again. Soft eyes. Worried daughter. "Mom," she called, loud enough for the strangers to hear. "Thank God. They're here to help." Help. My throat tightened, but I stepped out anyway. Low. Controlled. Heart screaming. The woman approached first. "Mrs. Elaine Hart?" she asked kindly. "Yes. I'm Dana Klein with Adult Protective Services," she said, like she was introducing herself at a charity brunch. "We received a petition expressing concern about your well-being." Sienna's voice cut in, gentle and rehearsed. "It's just to make sure you're safe, Mom. You've been forgetful." Forgetful. That's what she was going to call betrayal now. Dana looked at me with that careful smile people use when they've already decided something. Mrs. Hart, I need to ask you a few basic questions. The clipboard man clicked his pen. Dana's voice stayed sweet. What day is it today? I could feel my blood pounding in my ears. Not because I didn't know. Because I knew exactly what this was. Stage. Spotlight. A test designed for me to fail. It's Wednesday, I said. Then I added, clean and calm. January 14th. Sienna's eyes flickered. Just a twitch. Annoyance. Like I wasn't cooperating. Dana asked another. And can you tell me where you are right now? In front of my home, I said. At 18 Harbor Lane. Clipboard man wrote something down like he hated every correct answer. Sienna stepped closer, voice dripping concern. See, this is what I mean. Just sharp sometimes. And then she gets confused and paranoid. She ran off to the bank today. I was terrified. I looked straight at her. You were terrified. Or you were furious you couldn't get to box 247. The air changed. Sienna's face went tight for half a second. Then she laughed like I'd made a cute joke. Dana cleared her throat. Mrs. Hart, we may need to schedule a formal evaluation. My attorney will handle this, I said, and pulled out my phone with a steadiness I didn't feel. Marcus Vale. Sienna's smile slipped. Mom, don't. Called anyway. Marcus answered on the first ring. Elaine. They're at my house, I said quietly. Apes. She's doing it. Marcus's voice went razor sharp. Do not speak without me present. Put the social worker on. Dana took the phone, her confidence wobbling. Hello. Marcus's tone was polite, but it wasn't warm. Dana Klein, I'm counsel for Mrs. Hart. Any interview continues only with me present. Any claim of incompetence will be contested. Dana glanced at Sienna, suddenly less certain. Sienna's jaw clenched, tiny, ugly, real. I watched her, and it hit me with a sick certainty. She wasn't trying to help me. She was trying to erase me. And as Dana handed my phone back, Sienna leaned in close, low enough that only I could hear. You think you're smarter than me now, she whispered. Fine. Then let's see what the court thinks. Then she smiled at the strangers again. Sweet as sugar, sharp as glass. Come on, she said to them. We'll talk inside. And Dana turned toward my door like she had the right to enter. Right as my stomach dropped, my phone buzzed with a new message from Marcus. Elaine. Whatever you do next, do not let her get you alone. She's brought someone with her. The man Sienna brought with her didn't look like a helper. He looked like a decision already made. He stepped past Dana like he owned the air, suit pressed, expression blank, a thin folder tucked under his arm. And the second his eyes landed on me, he gave a small, professional nod. Like I was a file, not a person. Mrs. Elaine Hart, he said, voice flat. I'm here on behalf of your daughter. Sienna stood behind him, arms folded, face arranged into concern like makeup. Mom, please don't make this harder than it needs to be. Harder. As if I was the problem. I kept my body still, even though my pulse was punching in my throat. Who are you? Asked. He didn't answer right away. He glanced at Sienna first, like he needed her permission to speak. That told me everything. I'm Adam Cross, he said finally. Attorney for Ms. Hart. And I have documents that require your attention. Marcus's message echoed in my head. Do not let her get you alone. So I didn't move. I didn't invite. I didn't step back into my home. I stayed on my porch. Public. Visible. Witnesses. Sienna's smile twitched. Elaine, you're embarrassing yourself. There it was. The dagger wrapped in silk. Dana cleared her throat, uncomfortable now. Mrs. Hart, maybe we should. No, I said softly but firm. We'll do it here. Adam Cross lifted the folder. This is an emergency petition for temporary guardianship, along with a request for a capacity evaluation. My stomach turned. Temporary guardianship. Those words sound polite until you understand what they mean. Someone else making your decisions. Someone else controlling your money. Or home. Or life. Sienna stepped forward, voice gentle and poisonous. It's just temporary, Mom. Until you're stable. Stable. Like I was a chair with a broken leg. I looked at her. You tried to access my safe deposit box. Her eyes flashed, just for a heartbeat, then she corrected her face. You're confused. I'm not, I said. You followed me. Dana's eyes shifted toward Sienna. Ms. Hart. Did you attempt to access financial accounts today? Sienna's smile tightened. Of course not. I'm just trying to keep my mother safe. Adam Cross held out the packet. Mrs. Hart, you've been served. Serve. The word hit like a slap. He extended the papers toward me, and I felt my hands want to shake, so I didn't let them. I took the packet slowly like I had all the time in the world. Because if I looked scared, she'd win twice. Sienna exhaled like she was relieved. Good. Now we can move forward. Forward to what? Asked. Her eyes were soft in the way people get soft when they're about to do something cruel. Forward to you getting help. Forward to me handling things. Handling things. Could taste bile. I pulled out my phone again and hit record. Openly this time. No hiding it. Sienna's eyes narrowed. Are you recording me? I'm documenting, I said. Because you've been telling stories. Dana stiffened. Mrs. Hart, please. I want it all clear, I said, voice steady. Every word. Adam Cross glanced at Sienna again, subtle. Silent check-in. She gave him the smallest nod. And then he said the sentence that made my blood run cold. Mrs. Hart, there is also a request for an immediate order granting Ms. Hart temporary control of your assets pending hearing. Pending hearing. Meaning, before I even get to speak. My throat tightened, but I forced my voice calm. When is the hearing? Adam Cross didn't blink. Monday morning. 9 a.m. Sienna looked at me like she was already standing on the other side of the courtroom. It'll be quick, she murmured. If you cooperate. Cooperate. That's what she called surrender now. I stared down at the packet in my hands, the pages fluttering slightly in the winter air, and I realized something terrifying. She wasn't just stealing from me anymore. She was trying to remove me. Legally. Permanently. And as my eyes scanned the last page, my breath caught, because there was one more name listed under petitioner witness. A name I didn't recognize. And next to it, a title that made my stomach drop. Medical evaluator. Because whatever Sienna was planning, she wasn't coming alone on Monday. It was 6:04 a.m. when Marcus called. No good morning. No breathing room. Elaine, he said, tight and controlled. Your accounts are frozen. I sat up so fast my spine screamed. What? She filed an emergency request over the weekend, he said. Some judges sign these things fast if the paperwork looks clean. My mouth went dry. So I can't access my own money. Not until we challenge it, he replied. But don't panic. This is exactly why Cal built the structure the way he did. I squeezed the phone harder. I feel like I'm drowning, Marcus. I know, he said quietly. But listen, Sienna is moving fast because she's scared. She doesn't file guardianship petitions when she's winning. She files them when she's about to lose. That sentence landed like a rope in my hands. I exhaled shakily. Okay. What do we do? First, he said, you don't spend the weekend alone. You stay visible. Public. Witnesses. Second, you bring every original from box 247 to my office today. Third. He paused. Third, Elaine, that medical evaluator. I looked him up. He's not random. Your daughter chose him for a reason. My stomach tightened. What did you find? Marcus's voice turned sharp again. He's been accused of rubber stamping evaluations. Not convicted. But there are complaints, patterns. And Sienna is betting you'll walk into that room grieving and shaken and call it confusion. I closed my eyes for a second, feeling heat rise behind them. She's trying to make me look crazy. She's trying to make you look convenient, Marcus corrected. There's a difference. By noon, I was in Marcus's office again, folder in my lap, hands still trembling no matter how many times I told myself to stop. Marcus spread documents across his desk like he was building a wall brick by brick. Here's the truth, he said. We don't just defend you. We go on offense. He slid a packet toward me. Affidavits from bank staff about her attempt to access Box 247. Security footage request. Records showing she scheduled a notary the same day she called you. A timeline. He tapped another sheet. And this is Cal's protective clause. It states that if anyone attempts to declare you incompetent while trying to seize assets, control transfers into a protected trust. Temporarily. He stared. Cal really thought of everything. Marcus nodded. Cal didn't just love you, Elaine. He understood people. My throat tightened. What about Sienna's lawyer? Marcus's mouth flattened. Adam Cross is aggressive. But he's not stupid. He's going to come in Monday trying to paint you as fragile and paranoid. And me? Yes. What do I do? Marcus leaned forward. You tell the truth. Cleanly. Only. And you do not take the bait. He paused, then said it slowly. Elaine. The goal isn't to convince Sienna. It's to convince the court you are still you. The rest of the weekend felt like waiting for thunder. Sienna didn't call. Not once. But she sent one text late Sunday night. Please don't fight me tomorrow. I'm doing this because I love you. I stared at it until my chest ached. Then I typed back one sentence. Love doesn't need a court order. Monday morning, the courtroom smelled like paper and tension. Sienna sat across from me in a pale blouse, hair perfect, eyes soft, like she was the victim of my confusion. Adam Cross spoke first, smooth and confident. Your Honor, we're concerned for Mrs. Hart's well-being. Marcus stood calm as steel. We're concerned for Mrs. Hart's safety from financial exploitation. Sienna's eyes flickered. Then the bailiff called the next name. The court-appointed evaluator. The door opened. A man walked in. And the second I saw his face, my blood turned to ice. Because I knew him. Not from a file. Not from a complaint. From my own past. And the look he gave me said one thing loud and clear. He didn't come here to help me. The second he stepped into that courtroom, my stomach flipped. Because he didn't look at me like a stranger. He looked at me like a file he'd already stamped. Dr. Victor Raines. That name hit me like a door slamming in my chest. I hadn't seen him in years. But I knew that face. Calm smile. The I'm the expert posture. The way he spoke in that soft, clinical tone that makes everyone else sound emotional and messy. And the worst part, he knew my name before anyone said it. Mrs. Hart, he greeted like we were old friends. Sienna's eyes flickered toward him, then back to the judge. Innocent. Practiced. My heart pounded so loud I swear I heard it echo off the courtroom walls. The judge cleared his throat. Dr. Raines, you're listed as an evaluator. Yes, Your Honor, he said smoothly. I'm prepared to assess Mrs. Hart's capacity. Marcus rose beside me, calm as stone. Your Honor, we object. Adam Cross stood immediately. On what grounds? Marcus didn't blink. Conflict of interest. Biz. And prior professional misconduct complaints. The room shifted. You could feel it, people leaning in, curiosity turning into attention. Dr. Raines smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. That's a serious accusation. Marcus nodded once. It is. Which is why we brought documentation. He handed the clerk a packet, and I watched Sienna's perfect composure crack just a little. Just a twitch. Like something in her plan had slipped. The judge scanned the first page, then looked up. Dr. Raines. Have you ever met Mrs. Hart before today? Dr. Raines didn't look at me. He looked at Marcus. Not that I recall. I felt heat rise behind my eyes. Not tears. Anger. I leaned forward and spoke before my fear could stop me. You recall, I said quietly. You recall because I reported you. A ripple went through the courtroom. Sienna's head snapped toward me, eyes sharp now, not sweet. Mom, stop. The judge raised a hand. Mrs. Hart, continue. I swallowed, and my voice came out steadier than I expected. Years ago, Dr. Raines signed an evaluation for my husband's aunt. He barely spoke to her. He didn't test her properly. He wrote confused because it was convenient. Dr. Raines chuckled softly like I was adorable. Your Honor, this is exactly what we mean by paranoia. Marcus turned slightly, just enough to anchor me. Your Honor, he said, that language right there, dismissing a witness by labeling her, should concern the court. The judge's face tightened. Adam Cross tried to regain control. This is a family matter. Ms. Hart is simply concerned. Concerned. Marcus cut in, still polite, still lethal. Then why did she attempt to access Mrs. Hart's safe deposit box under false pretenses? He held up another document. Affidavit from bank staff. Timestamp. Security requested. Sienna's smile finally failed. That's not. The judge raised his voice. Ms. Hart, you will not interrupt. Silence. Heavy. Sienna sat back like her body had suddenly remembered it could be held accountable. The judge looked at Dr. Raines again. You're dismissed from this matter. The court will appoint an independent evaluator. Dr. Raines's jaw tightened for the first time. And then the judge turned to Sienna. Ms. Hart, he said, this emergency petition is denied. Effective immediately. You are prohibited from accessing your mother's assets or representing her in financial matters pending a full hearing. My lungs pulled in air like I'd been underwater. Marcus leaned closer and murmured, one step. But it wasn't over. Because Sienna's eyes locked onto mine. Cold now, not pretending. And when the judge called a recess, she brushed past me in the hallway and whispered, low and venomous. You think you just won. You have no idea what I already took. Then she walked away. And I stood there, clutching my purse like it was the only solid thing in the world. Realizing the courtroom wasn't the end of this fight. It was just the moment my daughter stopped hiding. The house felt wrong the second I stepped inside. Not messy. Not broken. Just like someone had been in my private grief with their shoes on. I went straight to my bedroom without thinking. And my breath caught when I saw it. Cal's nightstand drawer was open. Me. The spot where his wedding ring used to sit. After I'd slipped it off his finger at the funeral and couldn't bring myself to look at it again, was bare. My knees went weak for a second. Not because of the ring's price. Because that ring was the last physical proof that our love had existed in the world the way I remembered it. Solid, quiet, real. And suddenly it was gone. I stood there with my hand on the drawer, staring like if I stared hard enough it would reappear. Then I heard movement downstairs. Soft footsteps. Jenna. She was in my kitchen like she belonged there, scrolling through her phone, calm as ever. Like courtrooms were just a little detour. When she looked up and saw my face, she smiled carefully. Mom, you're home. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I didn't beg. I walked to the table, set my purse down and said very quietly, where is your father's ring? Her eyes flickered. Just once. The tiniest betrayal of the truth. I don't know what you mean, she said. I nodded like I expected the lie. Jenna, don't do that. Not today. She exhaled, annoyed. Elaine. My name is not what you get to use when you're trying to make me small, I said, still calm. Where? Ring. Her mouth tightened. Then she looked away. I had to. That sentence, I had to, was the same disease that had infected everything. The way she said it made cruelty sound like necessity. What did you do? Asked. Her voice got sharp. Defensive. I pawned it. Okay. Pawned it. Because you were going to fight me in court and freeze everything and I needed something I could control. There it was. Not love. Control. I let the silence sit between us until it turned heavy. Then I said, you stole your father's ring to punish me for not letting you steal my life. Her eyes flashed. You're acting like I'm a monster. No, I said. I'm acting like I finally see you clearly. She swallowed hard, and for the first time, her mask cracked in a way that looked almost human. I didn't want to end up with nothing. And you were willing to leave me with nothing to prevent that, I replied. Sienna's eyes filled, but her pride fought it. He didn't even tell you everything, did he? My stomach tightened. What does that mean? She leaned forward, voice low. Dad knew you'd forgive me. That's why he set it up this way. He knew you'd hesitate. I stared at her, and I realized something that hurt even more than the ring. She was right about one thing. Cal had known I would love her anyway, and she tried to use that love like a loophole. My phone buzzed. Marcus. I answered on speaker because I wanted the truth to live in the open now. Elaine, Marcus said steady. We can recover the ring if you tell me where it was pawned. Also, court denied the emergency petition. Your accounts are already unfrozen. Sienna's head snapped up. What? Marcus continued, calm as a lock clicking shut. Ms. Hart, you are now legally barred from acting on your mother's behalf. Any future attempt will be treated as exploitation. Sienna's face went pale. I looked at her and felt something settle in my chest. Not hatred. Not revenge. Boundary. Sienna, I said softly. I'm not going to destroy you. But you are not going to destroy me either. Her voice trembled. So what happens now? Now you return what you took, I said. The ring. Keys. Copies. All of it. And then you leave this house. Tears slid down her face. You're kicking me out. I'm giving you a chance, I replied. To become someone who doesn't need to take from the people who love her. She stood there shaking like she wanted to argue, like she wanted to collapse. Finally, she whispered the pawnshop name. And for the first time in weeks, I felt my power come back. Not loud, not dramatic. Quiet. Certain. Because the real victory wasn't the court order. It was this. I stopped bargaining with my own pain. I learned that love without limits becomes a target, and that protecting yourself doesn't make you cruel. It makes you free. Thanks for listening. Don't forget to subscribe, and if you've lived through something similar, share your story in the comments. Your voice matters.